All right, so hi, today I am going to be demonstrating a 5E lesson plan on the frog life cycle, and this will be for second grade level. Prior to this lesson, students have been learning about the life cycle of a butterfly, which is also known as metamorphosis. So they will be using this to later compare to in this lesson. Alright, so the first stage of the 5E lesson plan is the engage. So to engage my students, I have chose a frog life cycle video that I found on YouTube, which is obviously kid-friendly. So the purpose of this is to get them engaged in the activity by having them do an interactive song, which they can sing along to, and maybe even get up and dance and get those, get a little bit of energy out before doing more of the hands-on and concentrated work that they'll be doing later on in the lesson. So I'll show you a little portion of this video. I won't make you watch it all. It's a little repetitive, but I think it was a really cool resource to find that kids will like and actually get a little bit of knowledge from. Stop the video there. So it goes through the four, excuse me. So this video goes through the 4 stages of the life cycle that they'll be learning more about. So the next portion, so that was our engage, or I'm sorry. So the next portion in the engage is gets a little of what they have learned from the video. So I'd write this on a piece of paper so you could keep it for future use, not on a whiteboard which you can erase. So I'd either have students come up and write up themselves, or I'd take notes depending on the class size and behavior issues, those type of things. Also, what do you still want to know? So these questions will be used for later on in the lesson to look back at and reflect of things that they wanted to learn, so they can keep track that they've actually learned things today, that sort of thing. Alright, so the next section is explore, where they're going to be able to do some activities by themselves. So first of all, I have a handout that I will be providing, which has the 4 stages of the life cycle. So this, I want them to get into partners, or maybe groups of 3, but most likely partners, and read through and annotate the article. So this has the 4 stages of the life cycle. And so what they'll be doing is they're going to highlight the important parts, they're going to start with things they don't know, and I'll be walking around as a teacher to answer questions, and they can even ask their peers if they have questions as well. So using this diagram, instead of me doing a lecture, they're going to be reading this, using the article, they will be able to create a diagram. So they can make a diagram however they want. I'll provide this example, and I'm okay if children want to use this example because I think it's a good one. So this one just has little flaps, has the 4 stages of the life cycle, as you can see here. And so the stage 1 is the eggs, 2 tadpole, 3 froglet, and 4 frog. And I just have the pictures there, but I also want kids to put in the information of each part. So on here I did the description of each. And obviously theirs aren't going to be as detailed as mine is. For the eggs, they might have soft jelly eggs. The tadpole, they might have no legs, use tail swim. I'm not expecting complete sentences, just enough where they are getting the information and providing themselves with a future resource they can use for if we have an assessment on this content. It's really easy because all I need to provide my students with is paper plates, markers, pencils, and I say tape, tape, and maybe glue, that anything that they can use to be creative, but also it shouldn't be setting you back in your budget, because it's just a little thing here. Alright, so obviously when doing this diagram and reading, not all students are going to be reading at the same pace. They're not going to all be working and completing these diagrams at the same pace. So I have an extra credit opportunity which involves math, and they'll be doing either, depending on their level, addition, subtraction, multiplication, whichever it may be, because you could make it harder or easier depending on the person. And they'll be completing this when they are done with their diagrams. So the other children don't miss out. They can also take this home to do it and return it at a later date. So this provides students that are already finishing up to do some more work, and I'll have multiple of these worksheets for them to do. Explain. So in our explain portion, I'm going to be asking questions to review. So I have questions on what were the 4 stages, just to get a review. Which stage is the longest? And also we want to bring in that butterfly piece to connect with our prior lesson of metamorphosis, and I would make a Venn diagram for the whole class to see, because again in this explain section this would be a whole group discussion once again, just to kind of reiterate what we've learned. To elaborate. Alright, so in the elaborate section, I thought it would be fun to do a snack. So I would construct this lesson around snack time. So during this time, they will be able to make their own snack, including raisins, grapes, apples, carrots, and spinach to make their own frog life cycle. Obviously, you want to know before doing this activity allergies of students. But I thought it would be a fun activity so they'd learn how to make a snack that they could take home to their families and teach that it's healthy and easy to do. Because also when kids are involved in making their own food, they're more likely to eat it. Alright, so our final stage, the stage 5 in our 5E lesson plan, is evaluation. So I chose to do an informal assessment, even though with this diagram, because they have this diagram that they can study from, you can have a little quiz on it. However, I chose to do a little writing piece because we've had reading, math, and now we're going to do some writing. And I would tell students to get out their science journals, and in this journal they would write for the day, the lesson, so the frog life cycle, and then I want them to draw a picture. And I'd give them 5 minutes to draw their picture so they're not spending too much time on it and wasting their own time and trying to not do the writing. But enough time to get, it helps with pre-writing, and just to, if they want to draw a picture of the frog life cycle or just frogs themselves, it doesn't really matter. It's all in their choosing. Then I want them to write 5 facts that they learned of the day. This puts not so much pressure to have exact answers, because each child will have a different takeaway. Each child will have a different takeaway from the lesson. And I think this is really cool to look back on as a teacher and see what did, this will tell me what did kids grasp, what did they not grasp, what do I need to maybe put more attention on when we're learning about life cycle of a different animal. Because after this lesson, because we've done butterflies, which is an insect, and an amphibian, which is a frog, and then maybe next you could do a bear, which is a mammal. So to review again, in the 5E lesson plan, we did an engage activity with a video. We then did an explore activity with the handout, which they would be reading and annotating with partners, and a diagram. We then, in the explain section, did a discussion on questions that we still have, questions that we've learned about, and did a compare and contrast with the butterfly and a frog life cycle. In the elaborate section, we made a snack, including the 4 stages of the life cycle of a frog, and then we also learned a little bit about nutrition there. And in the evaluation, again, we did the journal that let them assess what they learned and let me know as the instructor what we need to work on. So I hope you enjoyed my 5E lesson plan on the frog life cycle. Thank you.